5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to this evening's Sunset Safari. We are here at the Buffalo's Hook Waterhole. My name is Brent, and I have Dangerous Dave the Dish on camera today. And of course we have this hippo who's fighting off the beckoning drought. As you can see, the water is disappearing around him. And this is the second time this year we're going to watch Buffalo's Hook Waterhole dry up. That late rain gave it a last sort of gasp. And as you can see, there's no fish in it at the moment, but there will be some insects. And those insects being around will keep a few species close to the water or even in the water. Now, the hippo being one of them, trying to hide from the harsh African sun, even in winter months. The sun can be quite brutal here in the low veld of South Africa. And we notice as we come out across the mud, there's lots of what look to be animal footprints. And indeed they are, but they are not made by a mammal. Let me get Dave to zoom in. Yeah, lots of footprints. And the big ones, the majority of them, are made by the 2 Egyptian geese that are on the other bank of the dam. There they are, a pair of Egyptian geese. Of course, those are not the only residents at the Buffalo's Hook Waterhole at the moment. There's another pair of little 3-banded plovers, gorgeous little birds, also associated with water. You see them there, Dave? The little guys. And of course, as this waterhole dries, all of these will have to move to another waterhole. And the most interesting of animals that's got to move, and it's going to take the longest, and we might even find them when this really gets dry and moving, is the hinged terrapins. So there we go. So as soon as this dries, the closest water to here is to the north, but they might even make the long walk to the Djuma Pan and go join all their terrapin brethren there. Now we're going to go see if we can find those Nkahuma lion cubs. Hopefully Mom's around, but if not, we'll keep checking for other things. But speaking of cubs, I think James has got some to show you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this end of the Sunset Safari. Now, I know that you've spent all morning with these cubs, but I was so jealous that I thought I'd come into this area and see if we could find them again. Jean-Andre, of course, he's on camera today. He's very depressed that he has to spend another 3 hours with these leopard cubs. But Jean-Andre, do you think you'll cope? He doesn't think he'll cope. We don't care, of course. We're going to try and spend as long as we can with these little cubs and see if Mum doesn't come back to fetch them. My name is James Henry, and in case you're wondering what on earth you're seeing here, you're seeing 2 5.5-month-old cubs here, and they are waiting for their mum, who's gone off hunting. She's left them here now for close on 2 days. Now that's not unusual when they get to this age, and they'll start to make very small kills for themselves. And in fact, I think they were seen chasing francolins earlier today. So they are sort of, their cattish instincts are starting to kick in. Now the leopard you're looking at now, as far as I can tell, is the female, whose name is Shongile now, not Charlotte anymore. You can, of course, call her Charlotte Shongile if you want to. I might want to do that. The other one has just gone off behind the trees there, and you can hear the birds' alarm calling. There are a few different birds' alarm calling. There's at least one rattling cisticola. There's one bird I can't identify, and there, Jean-Andre, if you look up, the batises have just come in to start shouting at them. I don't know if you can see in the bush just above and to the right. You might be unsighted by the scraggly tree in front. You've got them there. Yeah, so those are the chin spot batises, and they're going tip, 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 tip. And it might indicate that Mum's on her way back, but I don't know. She apparently went off to the south of the reserve, and is hunting over there. Now we're as live as Brent is, so please ask us questions. Hashtag SafariLive questions at wildearth.tv if you'd like to ask us anything about what we're seeing here today. That is not Charlotte. Shongila, sorry. Or is it? Yes, it is. It is. Anyway, they're very sweet little cubbies here, and I think we're going to spend as long as we can, even if they are relatively flat cat, as they say, because we don't know when Mum's going to come back, and we also, of course, don't know how long we're going to have to spend with them. She may well kill south of the reserve today, and then she'll take them down to the south, and that will be that for the next little while. And Lisa, I agree with you. You say you can't believe how big they're getting. They are getting quite big. They're about the size now, as I look there, of a, well, what kind of dog breed would you say, Jean-Andre? Sort of medium-sized dog, if you like. They're smaller than a Labrador and an Alsatian, but they are much larger than a poodle. And indeed they would swallow that lamentable breed, the Pekingese, with great ease. And you can just see him looking up at the birds, thinking, "Go away and shut up." Oh, where's the other one gone? Just off behind there. And there are no roads back there, and I'm not going to go crushing in to see if we can see them from the other side, simply because Mum is not here, and therefore we want them to have as much sound and smell available to them in case some other predator comes knocking along here. Look, that's too sweet. Isn't that great? Staring up at the birds, thinking, "How I'd like to swallow you." And the alarm calling from those birds is not that vociferous. It can be a lot more strident when they see an adult. And I found her in the tree yesterday morning because there was a squirrel giving a half-hearted sort of call, and she was lying up there in the top of a weeping boerbean tree, and the squirrel actually underneath her, but giving a very sort of half-hearted call. That is just wonderful to see. Oh yes, tired and licking lips. Oh, just perfect. Perfect little cat. Won't be so little for very long. And just sort of waking up. They've been sleeping here for most of the day. You can see yawning quite heavily, and you can see, I don't know how many of you were on drive with us this morning, but you could see definitely the size of the teeth on those tiny, tiny little lion cubs that we saw just erupting out of the gums, and compared with the 6-month-old or 5.5-month-old teeth on this leopard, well, there's really no comparison. They've already started to get their adult teeth as far as I'm aware. Born on the 2nd of February this year. Thinking about getting up. Always the ears go back first. Oh, big stretch. Oh, just like a house cat, totally instinctual, looking quite skinny. I think I'm talking nonsense. Aaron in Florida, you want to know when the absolute earliest time is that these cubs will be left to fend for themselves. The earliest on record in this area for a leopard going independent is 8 months. Now, I mean, it's almost impossible to conceive of these things going independent in the next sort of 3 months or so. It's not impossible, though. The male won't, definitely not. The female, well, 8 months, that was a female. The males tend to be a bit like human beings. They like to stay home with the comforts of mother's cooking and someone else making their beds for them until they're a little bit older. But 8 months is about the youngest. But they've been left, you know, I mean, they've been left like this for 2 days at a time regularly since they were born, because their mother must kill. She must kill to feed them. We'll just sit here for a little bit and then we might move a little closer to the drainage and see if we can't get view of the other one as well. But you can see how beautifully hidden they are. Yesterday, I know that yesterday they were about sort of 50 meters from each other. Hello Cindy in Tennessee, you want to know the spot patterns of these two leopards? Well, the male is 3-3 and the female is 4-3, and I'm just a little bit suspicious that this isn't actually the male. I couldn't see the spot pattern exactly on his right, our left-hand side, but the eyes looked very Georgish, at least Hosanna-ish, the less brown ones. Jean-Marie, let me move very slightly over that way and see if you can't get a slightly better picture. So 3-3 and 4-3. The mother is 3-4, so that's 3 spots on her right and 4 on her left. Their father, if he is Tingana, and I think he probably is, how's that, Jandri? Any good? Their father is 5-5. You see him there? Forward, back. Is that fine? And oh dear. There we go. Andre Soup. No, that is her. Can you see that single spot on the top there? That indicates that it's her. Well, she's really hiding that part of her face if it is her. I think it is. There we go. I'm pretty sure that's the female. Beautifully hidden there. I'm not sure where the male's gone. He may have gone off to climb a tree. He may have gone off to find some more shade. X-Ranger, you want to know if there's a penance any time that I call these leopards George and Charlotte. Now, for those of you who perhaps don't know, those are the names I gave them before they were given their official names yesterday, and I'm struggling to come to terms with the new names. I became quite fond of George and Charlotte, and you want to know if there's a penance, X-Ranger, every time I call them George and Charlotte. No, there isn't. No. Thankfully not, because it's going to be difficult. I said last night that we should probably give them 2 names. You know, they could be George Hosanna and Charlotte Shongile, and I thought that was quite a good idea. Brent Leo Smith's brain exploded in his head when I suggested that to him. And when I suggested calling Karula Elizabeth, he dropped dead. We had to bury him outside the camp. Anyway, that's the story there. What I want to do is just reverse slightly back and see if we can't get a view of what I think is the male. It's suddenly got quite a lot warmer after the wind here, hasn't it, Jandri? It's supposed to be about 22 degrees Celsius. It's about 74 Fahrenheit, if I'm not completely wrong. 71 Fahrenheit, sorry. 72? No, I've got it wrong. 72. Thank you, Kirsten. I need to get shirty. How's that? Is that all right? Oh, this camera is just perfect for this, of course. Yet again, the right side of her face is hidden. Can you see it? No. So you can see the 3 spots there. And Brent Leo Smith has got some very, very fine news for you. So go across and see from him.
How exciting! This is my first sight of the tiny little Nkuhuma cubs. Unfortunately, Mom is not here, so we're not going to stay very long. But just look at that. So there we go. Can barely crawl. Now, as the day has gone on, the sun has changed. Oh, look, growling at its sibling. The sun has moved, so they're going to crawl deeper into the shade. It's going to get hot there. These guys are tiny. So their eyes only open at about 12 days. So these guys aren't much older than that. Here you go, trying to snuggle up. Get out of the sun. So it's not unusual for Mom to leave them alone for a couple of days. Normally at this age, not more than 2 days. And I think she was here yesterday. When James checked this morning, she wasn't. And now I've checked this afternoon, she wasn't. So as I said, we're not going to stay much longer. And then I'm going to zone the sighting. So we're not going to let anyone in here without Mom here. But one vehicle comes to check every afternoon. So let's look at that. Isn't that just the cutest thing you've ever seen? Oh, they are gorgeous. But let's leave the little cuteness. We don't, as I said, we don't want to bring any undue attention to them when Mom's not here. This is a really, really precarious time for a lion cub. A passing mongoose could even manhandle them. So we're going to go back to James and the leopard cubs, and we're going to leave the little Nkuhumas to wait for their mom to return.
Right, well, we've spotted the other one, but not for you just yet, everyone. He's just the other side. And so we'll just wait for him to come back. He's... Yeah, I can't get both of them in shot for you, I'm afraid. I say I mean I can't help Gendre to get them both in shot for you. If I was on camera, all you'd have is a blurry kind of rendition of brown bush. Yeah, I can just see him with the binoculars. I can see his spots the other side of the termite mound. As they get a little bit more active and then go to sleep again. I'm fascinated to know where their mother is. You see, it's pointless her returning unless she's killed, because they're pretty good at getting out of the way of predators and they don't suckle anymore, so she can't actually help them unless she's killed something. So I suspect she will stay away from them for as long as it takes for her to kill. If she's in the vicinity hunting, well then she might pop past, but otherwise I think she's going to stay away. And at the moment, don't look like she's coming close. And Sandra, you want to know how long it is between litters. Sandra, it really does depend on when they go independent. So, for example, if these guys go independent, if the male goes independent, say at 18 months to 2 years, she'll come into estrus probably a few months after that. Let's say, perish the thought that George, Hosanna met meets that really wasn't intentional. Let's say the male meets his end rather early and the female goes independent at 8 months. She'll come into estrus sort of 3 months after that. So it really does depend when they kind of leave home as to when she will come into estrus again. I'm going to sneak slightly forward, Jean-Marie, and I'll just get you a picture of the other one. That should actually do it. So you can see the gap between the two there, between the two termite mound peaks, straight through there. And you see what I mean? So that those two peaks on the termite mound, you see that little saddle?
Yes.
Straight through the saddle. You got him.
Roll forward.
Are we moving? We are. Foxhat, while we move stealthily forward, you say...
Yeah.
You say you can see a drinking game coming on here where I have to have some apple juice every time I say George and Charlotte.
You should buy me an apple juice.
You don't drink apple juice, Andre. You only drink grape juice.
Right, grape juice then.
Foxhat, I disagree with you. I think it would be a very poor drinking game, largely because, well, I think I'd be ill if I drank that much apple juice. And I don't think it's going to take me a long time to get used to Hosanna and Shongile versus George and Charlotte. So even some of the crew are struggling with it, you know. It's not only me. I better turn up the Game Drive radio. I think there's some people getting mobile now. Look at that. What an afternoon, and just so quiet, very peacefully warm, gentle breeze from the southeast. There's a grey go-away bird calling in the background. Genre, should we go back to the other one? Are you happy with this one?
Yeah,
And we'll go back 1 meter to the other one. We might leave them just now, everybody, but I'm quite happy to just spend a bit longer here. Say when? Oh, Andre, it's because you're getting old. You're getting old. She's still there. Stations, these 2 young leopards are still on site. The southern side of the drainage line, visible from the road. Probably 1 out of 5.
slightly forward, James.
Slightly forward. Yes, there we are.
Right,
Sleeping leopard. And you can see them starting to clean themselves fastidiously, like all cats do. And we get asked a lot about, can predators or can their prey smell them when they're hunting? Are they able to kind of sneak through the bush, and do they use the wind? I think one of the major reasons that cats clean themselves as fastidiously as they do is to try and avoid their prey smelling them when they're on the hunt. And it is my postulation that they actually don't smell a great deal, and that the wind quite possibly doesn't play much of a role when they're hunting. But I'm not sure if that is true. Lisa, you you say you wonder if all these cubs have got puppy breath. Genre, do you know what puppy breath is?
It smells like you.
It smells like me, does it? Okay, well then, I hope they don't have puppy breath at all, no. I'm not really sure what you mean, but I imagine they probably do until they started eating meat. Now their breath will be fairly rancid, I imagine. Bits and pieces of rotting flesh in between their little carnassial teeth. So they probably did when they were suckling. But now that they're not suckling and they are purely carnivorous, I suspect that their puppy breath has disappeared. I think we're going to sit with them for another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll press on and see what else we can find. Maybe we'll come across their mum, and then we'll come back here a little bit later. You see, I don't know if you can hear, but the birds have now stopped alarm calling at them. No more are the cisticulars in a panic. They've left. The batises have left. Little waxbills have left. And that's because they've realized that these two sleeping little cubbies pose them no threat whatsoever. Just wonderful. And thank you very much, all of you, for your screenshots of these cubs. Wonderful that you can take better photographs than I can from where you're sitting. Despite the fact that I'm so close to them, I'm still unable to take a decent photograph today. They are, to be fair to me, quite far away from us, and right at the end of this very long lens. Hello, Desiree in Indiana, sorry, not India. Kirsten, how do you manage that? You want to know the spelling of the cubs' names? The spelling of the male's name is George, and the spelling of the female's name is Charlotte, although we did have a viewer suggesting very cleverly that we should spell the female's name Xarlotte, which of course would give it a kind of Shangaan flavour, Charlotte. I am of course being utterly facetious. The names are spelled, Shongile is spelled Xongile, and the male, or the male's name, Small Chief, or Small King, or Prince, is Hosana. Alright, let's go across to Brent and find out what he has to show you. Some antelope and some equids.
And of course, as we were linking, the zebra decided to maneuver itself. And there we go. Let's just go back. So we've got a group of male impala and what looks to be a lone male zebra. Now, it's not uncommon for these young stallions to spend a time with other animals. Is he going to cross behind us? Of course he is. Now, safety in numbers. Oh, not the most relaxed young zebra, that one. Let's see if he's a bit more relaxed when he's got lots of impala friends around. There he is. So these young stallions will often buddy up with a group of impala or kudu. Now they've been pushed out of their native homes. Okay, we're going back the other way now, mister. Trying to stick with certain of the impala friends. Shame, he's not the most relaxed zebra, so we're not going to stress him out too much. But now he's panicked, so now the impalas are running. They're not sure why they're running, but if you are a prey species, it pays to be cautious. Now everyone's on high alert, thanks to that young male zebra. Now we're going to continue on. We're on the northern edge of our traverse area at the moment. I'm going to head towards Gallagher Shortcut. I want to have a quick look at the Gallagher Shortcut hyena den. I think that was the last one that was active. We're going to go see if there's any sign of activity there. I've checked the Vubel Road. I've checked the Aubrey's Road den, so Gallagher is the last one to check. It's not impossible. There is another den I know about, but it's right in the center of those little river systems and really basically impossible to get there with a car. So they might just be in the center there. I've got a feeling they're a bit further to the west. We might have a quick squeeze around that area as well. Hi, Ashley, who's in England. Ashley is asking me to describe how the different animal species are affected by this terrible drought. And a terrible drought it is, Ashley, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Everything in nature has its time and place, including drought. Now, we as humans seem to think this is a very big, sort of huge catastrophe, but Africa and the rest, or the world, has seen numerous droughts far worse than this in its history. Now, your herbivores, so your grass and leaf eaters, are going to have a bit of a tough time of it. But the one thing that happens when the weaker ones and the young ones start dying, the ones that are left generally hold the strongest genetic code possible. So the most immune to disease, the most hardy, the most resilient, and that is always good to start the next breeding stock. A really good example of this is buffalo. The last major drought like this was in 92, 93 in the Kruger, and the Kruger went from around 30,000 buffalo to around 10,000 buffalo. And that really strong genetic stock of 10,000 buffalo has bounced back since 93 to 50,000 buffalo. So there's probably going to be a couple, 10, 20,000 buffalo that die, but in the total, the overall, the meta population will be better off after it. So it is quite a sad thing to see animals struggling, but it isn't always the worst thing. But we can discuss a bit more about the drought. Let's go back to James and those bundles of joy.
Everybody, Jean-Andre says he desperately wants screenshots of this. This is a very, very cute shot indeed. Very sweet with the little paws on top of the termite mound there. The other one, I can just see a couple of spots breathing heavily, fast asleep again. That is very, very sweet. I, of course, am not allowed to move now, because if I do, because we're at the right at the end of the lens. Oh, this is interesting. I thought maybe she was hearing the chuffing sound of Karula. And when Karula comes into the area, she'll go choo, 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 to call them. Endlessly entertained is this leopard cub by, oh, this is too sweet for words, by all the things going on around here. Birds calling, light changing, leaves rustling in the wind, termite mound to scratch yourself on, bit of housekeeping, checking that her brother isn't walking off somewhere, getting himself into trouble. And Kirsten is sort of confirming what I've been suspecting, that this might be the male. And I've just been looking at the spot patterns, but the eyes are definitely those of the males. But watch as he lifts his tail. Oh, missed it. I thought I could identify them so easily, and now it appears that I might be wrong. I might have to beat myself to death. Now Kirsten says she's sure it's the male. Kirsten, you best not be wrong. I need to see the other one. The other one definitely seems to have browner eyes, so quite possibly this is the male. Oh, sitting up. You see that, Jean-Andre? I'm about to get you a world-winning photograph. There you are. Say thank you.
Yeah, further, please.
Further?
Yeah,
Why?
I've got a stick chopping your head off.
You still got a stick chopping your head off. There we go. Look. That is too sweet. And thank you to all of you for taking Jean-Andre his screenshots. He's very pleased, aren't you, Jean-Andre?
Quite so.
Most grateful. I'm also going to take a shot, Jandre, with my camera. It's going to be an epic shot. Are you ready? Oh, I got her bottom. Or his bottom, whichever it is. Did you see something under the tail there? He's stalking something.
It's the eyes.
It is the eyes, rather, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then I may have the spot pattern slightly wrong as well. He might also be 4-3. Look at him, tensing. Oh, he's tensing on because his sister has got up. He's stalking her. There she comes. You see her there, Jandre? There we are.
Yeah. It's the female.
Maybe he's... oh, he's gone off to have a bit of a stretch there. And lying down behind the termite mound. I'm trying to think if we'll get a better view. Let me go back a little. Rocky Knight, nice one from you about naming, and I mean, of course, this is a debate you'll have for years to come, but why do we give these leopards names, not all the lions? Rocky Knight, it's simply, Jandre, I can't see whether you've got a shot or not.
I don't really. But let's try behind this converter. Yeah.
You got one. Rocky Knight, the reason is that we see the leopards, we do give the lions sort of names, but we don't see them quite as frequently. Their territories are much larger, and so we don't quite have the same relationship with them that we do with the leopards. The leopards are also solitary, which means they're slightly easier to identify. Their markings are much more distinct than lions' markings, for example. And that's basically why. But I mean, the new leopard, the lion cubs, I've named Jerry, Louise, and Kirsty, because I think there's one male and two females. That's the larger Nkuhuma cubs. The three little ones that you've just seen with Brent now, I don't know what they are, but we will probably not name them. Well, that's definitely the female. And she's 3. I've got the spot patterns completely wrong. Hang on a second. There's an alarm calling bird. Maybe Mum's coming back. Every time I hear a really strident alarm call, I think maybe Mum is returning. And once lions of course become adults, then it becomes very difficult to identify individuals. You can do it from the individual whisker spots, but then you need a real proper picture of them. X-Ranger, a nice question from you. You say, is it part of having, or is it one of the advantages of having more than one youngster, that they're then able to sort of practice on each other and practice stalking? Yes, I imagine it probably is. These guys definitely don't do it as much as lions. They do it a bit, but yeah, I'm sure it is. But that's not to say that a single leopard isn't just as
Can we roll slightly forward?
yeah, It's not to say that a single leopard isn't slightly sorry about that, everyone. It's not to say that a single leopard cub, it doesn't develop those same skills, because of course they spend quite a lot of time playing with their mothers and stalking their mothers. Now I've got this really arse-about face here. That looks 3-3 to me. He is now disappearing through the bushes. And I can hear way, way, way in the distance, I can hear a kudu alarm calling. Yeah, there's something calling there. Jack, you want to know why their muscles twitch? Jack, it's because they don't have hands to slap the flies off them. It's simply so that they can shake the skin and get the flies and other parasites off them. That's the only reason. So I don't know if you heard there, but way in the background I could hear. They've just looked up, Chandra, at my kudu call. Yeah, still the kudu are calling in the distance. Sounds like in the Mulwati drainage line. So maybe Karula is on her way back. I'm very distressed by my lack of remembering what spot patterns of what. Hello, Fluff the Rosy Kitty. You're obviously a new viewer, and you say, is this a cheetah? Fluff, this is no cheetah. This is a leopard. This is the prince of cats, the ultimate spotted cat. And it is the African leopard. I mean, they are very, very sort of ubiquitous around the world, actually. They extend all the way into Asia. But this is the African leopard, and they differ from cheetahs in many ways. And if you saw a cheetah next to a leopard, you wouldn't confuse them for a second. The cheetah, the most obvious sign from what we've seen here of a cheetah would be those very clear black tear marks going down the side of the face. And then on the body, of course, these little leopards have got what we call rosettes, which are little arrangements or circles of spots with sort of a darker yellow color in the middle, where a cheetah is just sort of the uniform yellow with plain spots, just like the spots that are on the leopard's head. So that's what a cheetah looks like. Cubs also of cheetahs look a little bit like, there comes the other one. Cheetah cubs, there we go, playing with each other a little bit. Cheetah cubs have got a white mantle, so a big white sort of flash of fur that goes all the way down the back. So they don't look nothing like leopard cubs. You even got a shot there, Andre. Yes, it's all right. But Fluff, nice to have you with us, and I hope that you stay with us for a long time. What we're doing here is just waiting to see if the mother doesn't arrive back again and take them off to a kill. Because she's away hunting, and I suspect quite strongly that she's going to come over sometime this afternoon and take them off to her latest success. Alice, what a great question. Jandri, I'm going to go back slightly, see if you don't get a better shot. Why don't you leave the camera on them and then we can see. There we go. No. Then we go forward. There you go. Alice, you're in Ohio, and you say, why do we name the leopards if they don't care? Well, Alice, you're absolutely right. They couldn't give a flying continental whether we call them George, Horsana, Beeblebrox, like George Adams might have called them, or Douglas Adams, sorry. They really couldn't care less. We name them, I suspect, because we like to anthropomorphize, we like to give them human characteristics, and it helps us to identify them. I think that's the emotional reason behind naming them. And, you know, we spend so much time with them that we develop this kind of relationship with these cats, and calling them Leopard Cub 1 and Leopard Cub 2, which would be the kind of scientific way of doing it, you know, they'd be named after the area that they're in. Well, it just wouldn't be very personal at all. So that's why there's no other reason other than the human need to have some kind of emotional connection with them. Bernie, make your way. Yeah, it's about a 2 out of 5 visual at the moment. So that's, just for those of you who are new viewers, is the Game Drive channel, and I'm just helping a few others come into the sighting. While they are lying behind that termite mound very unkindly, let's head across to Brent and see where he is.
Alas, I've checked the Gallagher shortcut hyena den. Doesn't look like it's been active for a while. So since I've been back, I've been so busy, I haven't actually got to check a few areas as well as I would like. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm heading up to the western corner of Djuma, and around these guarri thickets there's a little river system that sometimes Shadow likes to utilize, and also Mr. Tingana. So definitely worth a little squiz. I feel like I have been neglecting the western areas. So we'll come have a look around here. Now I wonder, I haven't seen the side-striped jackal since I've been back either. Keep checking. Now, and this morning we found some incredible serval tracks, and Roger was wondering, did we find it? Unfortunately not, Roger. It walked into some very hard ground and we lost the tracks. But we know it's in that area, so definitely a spot worth checking after dark with the spotlight. Oh, sun's coming out from behind the cloud. Now the wonderful thing is you actually never know what might pop out, and this area up here, right on the corner with the Manyeleti boundary, Imvula might pop out, Shiluva might pop out, so lots of different creatures, and it seems to be a sort of boundary zone between a few of the animals. Always check these the bigger trees, and especially the ones that have got shade at this time of the year. So, you know, there might be a leopard taking advantage of that. So carry on with Ashley's theme about drought. Nevin's asking, are leopards less likely to hide their kills in trees because of the drought, because they provide less cover? Not at all, Nevin. The main reason they put their kills up in those trees is to escape hyenas mostly. And that's the track I saw walking down the path here. There's a hyena track. There we go. Now, I wonder if there's a den down there. I don't think so. I've walked this block extensively. There's no real den sites in it. But Nevin, they mostly put their kills up in the tree to avoid lions and hyenas, and if there's a lack of foliage, it's not the biggest train smash. Now, Ashley asked how it would affect the different animals, and we only really discussed how it was going to affect the herbivores, and there could be a die-off of certain species. Warthog are often the first to go, followed quite closely by kudu, wildebeest, zebra, and buffalo. But it has the exact opposite effect on the predators. It is a time of plenty for lions, hyenas, leopards, wild dogs, cheetah, because the stuff they're trying to catch that is normally incredibly athletic and escapes very, very often is now not as athletic and is suffering a little bit from lack of quality food, so it makes it a bit easier for the predators to catch them. Yeah, there seems to be so many tracks here. I think it was a hyena again, but always pays to double check. Where was that track? Yep, hyena. Now, you'll find hyena tracks on most roads in the Sabi Sands. They're capable of wandering great distance in search of food in the evenings. Just want to check all the way, almost to the gate. There's quite a big thoroughfare for animals along this little corner here. Oh yeah, it got away. One of the few butterflies we're going to see at this time of year was a beautiful big citrus swallowtail. So let's have a look. Nkumas are in the north, and there are their tracks. So this is where the Nkuma Pride crossed early this morning into Buffels Hook. And someone circled the tracks. So while we continue on, let's go back to James and those glorious little leopard cubs.
They've gone, everybody. Look, they've gone. They've run away. They aren't there anymore. Ha 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 ha. They are here. Sorry. That's very ridiculous. But there they are. They're lying very comfortably with each other, using each other for warmth. You can see the sun has disappeared behind another cloud. And every time it does that today, that very thick fur that they have on their bodies becomes doubly important, because it really has been, as soon as the sun goes, it's quite cool. And that's, I'm afraid, the best view we're going to have of them at the moment. I know I said I was going to just hang around here 10 minutes. I think just because of those kudu alarm calling, as I was saying to Jean-Andre, that could have been a snake, it could have been Tingana, it could have been a lioness, it could have been anything that made those kudu or nyala alarm call a little way from us. But what I'm going to do is just stay here regardless, because it could have been Karula, not too far from here, and she might be making her way back here. So I think it is going to be worthwhile sitting here. I'm sure there aren't too many of you that mind sitting with leopard cubs, correct? Good. And Rika, you're in Johannesburg. You say, which one of the cubs will most likely... Sorry, excuse me. Rita, you say which one of the cubs will most likely start hunting first? Rita, probably the female, because she'll become a lot more independent before him, and the males are just, they're like human males, they just develop a little bit more slowly, as do elephant males, in fact. Okay, we're just going to move slightly back so that I can give Bernie a look. Have you got a shot there, Jeandre? How's that? There you go. Good morning. Good afternoon, sorry, yes. So, 1 out of 5 view of 2 of them just on that little termite mound there under the sticks. You've got no shot there, Jeandre. Why did you tell me to stop, you heinous individual?
It was up and now it's down.
Hey? We could just see.
Go forward.
Not sufficiently to call it a... Oh, can you see? Just wait, Jeandre. Jeandre is full of instructions, everyone. Sometimes we call that something else, but not live on air. Right, there you are. That's all we got, I'm afraid. Your passenger's looking in completely the wrong direction. You want... Trying to help Bernie see them here. All you can see are some spots underneath. Can you see them there? Okay. There we go, they can see them, everyone. There we are. Yeah, not moving at all. In the background, one very cross black-headed oriole goes, which reminds me of Brent Leo Smith with his cross. So let's go across to him and see what he's got.
We have a beautiful sky with a grey go-away bird flying through the middle of it and landing just below with what we want to show you. Now, there's a vervet monkey atop that knobthorn. Now, you'll probably find the rest of the troop are foraging on the ground below, and that monkey's job is to be the sentinel, looking out for predators. So if it spots a leopard or a hawk eagle, it'll immediately give an alarm call, sending the other monkeys scurrying for high ground or scurrying for cover if it's a bird. And of course the monkeys will have different alarm calls for the different predators. So that's the only one we can see, but I'm quite certain on the ground around here is the rest of the troop, or in the original colonial English, the collective noun for monkeys. There's a shrewdness of monkeys, and of course there's a proof why. Being very shrewd, keeping someone on look for predators. Now, you can hear some little birds. I'm just going to go backwards slightly, see if I can spot them. But they are proving to be a little bit difficult. Now, there's one bird I really want to show you guys, and they keep escaping, and that's what it sounded like, but they sound like they're a bit far off, and it's a little green-winged petilia. Tiny little finch-like bird, but beautifully colored, oranges, reds, and greens. I will keep my eye out for them. So we're checking very slowly down our western boundary. Now there's some water not far from here, so this is a very active thoroughfare zone for lots of animals. I was also hoping we might bump into some ellies around here. So far, only lots and lots of hyena tracks. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous winter's evening. Now, HK is wondering if the older Nkahuma cubs are now moving around with the pride. Indeed, HK, they are. Sorry, I just want to check here. This is... they are. So they get to about 8 weeks old, they start moving around with the pride. The mothers, when they are hunting, will still leave them, but it'll be much closer distances that they'll return to feed them, and then if they catch something, actually take them to the carcass. Now, this is an area where we found shadow quite a lot. It's a very difficult area to follow animals through, so often we just catch glimpses of her crossing the road. But I haven't seen her for a couple of days now, and I haven't heard of anyone seeing her, so I thought it might be worth checking our western edge. While we continue our search of the western edge of Djuma, and we might take a dabble into Arathusa a little later. Let's go see how James's afternoon is going with those two gorgeous little cubs.
What's he said so far, Jean-Ray? Delectable, gorgeous, and delicious, I think, are the adjectives he's used. Very good that he's used 3 adjectives. Be interesting to see how much he can keep going with. Well done, Brent. They haven't moved one jot since you were last here, everybody. So I think we're going to do a little circle about the place and see if we can't spot Mum coming this way, because the sun on my face and the watching of sleeping cats is going to make me drop off fairly soon. And I think were Jean-Ray to turn the camera to me and find me like this, it just wouldn't make great TV, I don't think. So let's go and see what else we can find, and we'll do sort of a big loop and we'll come back around here. Bernie, we're going to leave them with you. Yes. No. No, they're totally weaned. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Rain, I'm going to answer your question as we move, because Bernie's just asked me a very good question. He said, do they, or would she have come back to feed them? And the answer is no, because they've weaned. And as I said to you earlier, I think she's probably going to leave them until she's killed. There's no point in her coming back unless she's killed some meat. See you later, everybody. Good luck. If they move, will you let us know, please? Thank you. So, Rain, you say we're taught not to get too attached to the wild. There's a kudu just up ahead here. Could have been the ones that were shouting earlier. And surely the naming of these animals attaches us to them, and I'm going to ask Kirsten just to read it again, but that's the general gist of what you said. Okay, so yes, so isn't naming the animals taking away from the wild? Here the kudu, they're moving towards those cubs. It's unlikely that the cubs will kill them. In fact, it's impossible. And Rain, yes, I mean, this is one of the things that, one of the reasons that if you go to a place like Londolozi or Singita, they don't name the animals sort of like we do here. They don't call them Karula and George and Charlotte and Shungile and all those sorts of names. They call them after the area in which they live. So they'll call the 3-4 female after her spot pattern. They would call the Vomba female. They always kind of tack on a female or young young female, so that it's not a name like George or Charlotte or Billy or Shongile. Here, it's quite a large herd of kudu, this. And the reason for that is that when they drive their guests around, they want their guests to have a feeling that the wilderness is wild and that they're not tame, and that, they feel that names like we give them up here in the north absolutely do take away the wildness of it. I used to be of that school of thought. That's probably simply because I used to work in a place where that's how they did it. I'm not so sure anymore, Rain. We all know that they're wild animals. I don't think it's particularly dangerous, and it's all very well saying, well, this is the 3-4 female, but if you go and sit in a rangers meeting and they start talking about the leopards, they'll just say, well, 3-4 or Vomba or Sunset Bend, and they refer to them in exactly the same way as whether you call them Karula or anything else. So unless you're naming them by numbers and trying to stay emotionally detached from it, and you can if you're an automaton or perhaps a hardcore scientist, which very few of us are, the naming, I don't think, really removes the wilderness. And mostly, as I was saying today, actually, I was chatting about this earlier, I think the anthropomorphizing of them, the fact that we do call them other things, is actually quite a positive thing, because it attaches people to the wild animals. And attaching people to wild animals, making them emotionally invested in wild animals and creatures and all of the aspects of the wilderness that we have here, I think that really is a good thing, because it means that the more attached people are to these areas and the animals, the greater the chance that they will become involved in conservation is, and that can only be a positive thing. So while, yes, hardcore scientists are going to tell you that it's a really bad idea, how can you name these things, you're removing them from the wild, you're making them sound domesticated, I say piffle to them, because I'm piffle to my own self when I was a younger man, and that's simply because I don't really care. They don't care, and it makes a big difference to some people, and if it attaches them to the wild and makes them enthusiastic about the wilderness, let's call them what we want to call them. Right, let us go around the corner now. Oh, now Brent, we've had the smaller versions of the kudus here. Brent apparently has the biggest kudu in the world with him.
Now, here we are with a massive male kudu, and he's busy giving that quarry busher a good rubbing. Now, he could be doing that to make his horns look impressive. Quarry bushes often have a little bit of red resin. I'm just going to try and move forward slightly. But this is a very, very big adult kudu. Incredibly wide horns. Hello, big boy. So he doesn't look like he's showing any signs of the drought taking effect just yet. And that's probably because he is in his prime. And when it comes time to mating with massive rapiers like he's got, he's probably one of the dominant kudu bulls in this area. Now, kudus don't hold set territory like a lot of other antelope and other animals. They only really compete when the females are in estrus. So when the females aren't, it's not uncommon to find groups of 5 to 10 of these big bulls in each other's company. He is massive. Wow, they are just incredibly graceful animals, and they belong to my sort of family, a favorite family of antelope, the Traphalagids. It's the spiral-horned antelope, and the kudu is actually got quite an interesting Latin name, which refers to the shape of its horns. So it refers to the corkscrew, not corkscrew, the corkscrew shape of that kudu's horns. And I wonder if anyone out there knows what the word is, or what a kudu's Latin name is. If you know what a kudu's Latin name is, please let me know. There's some confused tourists thinking we had seen something other than a kudu, but they looked very confused. I think they're in a rental car. And as you can hear, they definitely don't know how to drive on the dirt road. The spinning of the wheels and the corrugations. But I'm sure they're about to go have a wonderful safari somewhere. But that's what I was saying. If you know what the Latin name of a greater kudu is, and you know what that second part of the Latin name means, and I did give you a hint about the corkscrews, but if you know where those words come from, let me know. questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. Okay, let's try and get another view of this big boy. Now that our confused visitors have passed. So Mike's wondering if it's true that a kudu's horns are merely a sign of genetic strength and are not used for fighting. Mike, that is completely untrue. Of course, they are a sign of genetic strength, but they are very much used for fighting. How's that, Dave? So, actually, there's quite a few recorded cases where you find kudu that have died because those corkscrew horns have got interlocked while they're fighting. So those horns are very important when it comes to fighting for females. There we go. That was beautiful. You can see the sun actually catching those horns. And you can see not only are big horns needed to be the dominant kudu, but it helps to be a bit taller so you can feed a little bit higher than the other kudus. And in times of drought, that little bit of extra height would be very important. And he doesn't mind the passing traffic you're hearing. He's going to carry on munching away. Now, as it gets cooler, he's probably going to move up to the crests and find a nice place to lay low for the evening and lie down and chew the cud, ruminate. Well done, Johan and Raisa. Traphilavis strepsorisos. Now, if we go to the second part, strepho is the Greek word for twist. So strephus is twisting, and keras is Greek for horn. So keratin, that's what the horn is made out of. So it is the twisted horn antelope. Now, the first part of the word, Tragelaphus, comes from tragos, which is also Greek, and it stands for he-goat. And elephus stands for deer. So it's a he-goat deer twisting horn. Quite a strange name if we break it down. Hello, Mr. He-goat deer twisting horn. Now, all the he-goat deers have twisted horns or curved horns. So the other members of the family that we get here in the Sabi Sands are bushbuck, nyala, and at the very outside possibility, an eland. Now, he's a big boy, but he would still be an easy target for a pride of lions, and Roger was wondering that. Do lions prey on kudu? Indeed they do. Oh, I'm just going to get a quick shot of those horns. It is just beautiful, that backlight filtering through. This is a magnificent specimen. Well, it looks like he's going to wander off deeper into the block. We're going to keep checking our western edge of traverse. And who knows what might turn up. What have we got there, actually, before we go anywhere? Oh no, it's a very big hyena footprint. It's so big I thought it might be a lioness. So I keep checking this western area. Let's go back to James so he can update you on what he's doing.
Well, I'm driving around, everybody. That's what I'm doing, and I'm hoping to see some tracks of Karula. And this is because we had monkeys alarm calling in this area. We didn't hear them, but Bernie, who you saw at the sighting, he's still waiting there with the cubs, and he said he thought he heard monkeys alarming around about here. So we're going to have a look around about here and see if we don't find any evidence of Mama Leopard, Elizabeth. Sorry, Karula, wondering what I'm saying. That's just for Brent's benefit. And if we his brain will explode. And we might be lucky. I don't know. I mean, it could be alarming at anything. Let's just see. There's a nice road down here called Ingwe Alley. And we'll see if Ingwe Alley has got anything else on it. And Sharon, you asked the question, if given Karula's age, she's 12 now, will this be her last litter? I think she's probably got another one in her. I'm assuming these ones go to independence, so 18 months from now, of course, Georgie boy, at least Hosanna, should go independent. Maybe a year from, well, a minimum of a year from now he'll go independent. So that would put her at 13 and a bit. She'll come into estrus fairly soon after that, have the cubs 3 months after that. 2 years later she'll be 15, and it's unlikely that she'll have another litter. So I think she's got at least another one in her. She might be very lucky and have another 2, but I think probably 1 if these chaps make it to independence. And of course, they're by no means out of the woods. They certainly are out of the most vulnerable stage of their lives, but there's so many dangers out here. And I mean, those little lion cubs that we've been seeing, which are that big, anything could go up the drainage line there. I mean, a duiker could go up the drainage line there and do some serious damage to them. So, you know, the risks for little cats out here are enormous. They're so totally altricial, helpless completely, and yeah, so these chaps could be taken out. We hope that they won't be. Certainly it's unlikely given the skill of their mother, A, and B, their age. But who knows? And then she'd come into estrus almost straight away, in the same way that Shadow did once Sindile went into rehab. Amazing how that leopard has become completely independent on his own without any coaching. And you know, there is quite a lot of debate as to how much the mother leopards teach their youngsters. And old Sindile, you know, before he went into rehab, aged just about a year old, I mean, he was living a lot on his own. I think he was catching and killing quite a lot on his own too. And his mum would leave him for, I think the longest time she left him was about 2 weeks at one stage. And he went into a rehabilitation centre where they probably fed him the odd donkey. He wouldn't have known what it was, of course, but he wouldn't have had to do much killing. In fact, I don't think he did. He probably didn't do any killing. He's been tossed back into the wild here with his collar in an unfamiliar area. He's now killing impala. So he's learned to do it completely on his own. So, you know, I mean, there's still mysteries about leopards, despite the amount of time we spend with them, the enjoyment we get out of them. There's still quite a few mysteries as to how they get on and what doesn't make them go. Apparently Brent was told that I used the term Elizabeth for Karula. He gave a thumbs down, and then he fell out of the car. So they're just trying to resuscitate him now. Oh, Simon, many questions from you here. Good ones. Okay. The first, you want to know ostensibly how many leopards there are, including cubs, inside the SafariLIVE traversing area, and how big is the traversing area. Simon, I don't know where you're from in the world, and just a reminder to you all, please tell us where you're from, because it's always nice to know. Simon, the total traversing area is 6,500 acres, which in hectares is, we're looking at 1,200 here, 850 odd at Arathusa, so that's 2,000 plus another 600 or so at Cheetah Plains, so that takes us to a total of roughly, 2,500 hectares. Now, that's 2,500 hectares. Within that area, we have Karula. She is largely Djuma. Her territory is almost exactly the size of Djuma, so 1,200 hectares. And then there is Shadow. She is not completely within our traversing area, but we see her quite a lot. She goes quite a lot to the south of us, especially since the demise of another leopard called Kwatile. So that's 2. Then there is Then there is Tundi. Tundi we see sometimes, but I really wouldn't call her part of our traversing area. There's Nkanyeni, who lives at Cheetah Plains, and then, I mean, those are largely the female leopards that we see. So those are the females. Then there's Tingana the male, and there is the Anderson male, who I wouldn't put in our traversing area. There's also Mvula and Quarantine. So those are the 2 kind of males that are around. So we've got 3 males, and that's interesting because 2 of them are not territorial. We've got, we'll call it 3 females, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4 cubs as well. So that's, what is that genre? 10 leopards within our traversing area, but there will be others that come in. So we had Shivambalana the other day on Cheetah Plains. He came in there. He's not always around our traversing area. We sometimes see Tundi, like I said. She's got new cubs now as well, so she might or might not be considered part of it. Nkanyeni's got 1 cub. She's just lost one. We don't know how. So that's basically it. About 10 in total. All right, there are other people going to the leopard cub sighting now, so we're not going to go there again. For now, we're going to go and see what else we can find, and we'll just traverse around and see if we can't get a view of Karula. Or something else, maybe some elephants. I'd like to see some elephants. I saw many elephants today. Sorry, Nigel, the Game Drive radio is going crazy in my ear. Can you go again with that, Kirsten? Nigel in the United Kingdom. Oh, what's the count of consecutive days with cats? I don't know, but quite a few. I mean, we've done really well over the last little while. I think since Brent got back last week, we haven't had a day without cats. Let's go down this road. So, that would be... that's a week exactly. It's exactly a week. And before that we had quite a few days. So I don't know, Nigel, but at least 10 or 12 days maybe. I was very lucky also when I got back from leave. I had about 8 days consecutively with cats. Nothing to do with me. Blind luck 90% of the time. But yeah, we've been very blessed. And of course, the more cubs you have, the more blessed you get, because the slightly less they move. Let's see if we can't find those monkeys that were shouting around here. And Bernie's just leaving now as well, because he says no mother there yet. Anyway, lots of people going down towards that area. So I think we'll go to another spot and check around. I shall accelerate slightly. The elephants, of course, which we have seen, and we saw a few today, they are the ones starting to really, I believe, wear it as a result of this sort of dry season going into a drought. The rest of the animals seem to be coping fine, but it's the elephants, to me, that are the ones struggling the most. And why that should be, I'm not really sure, but I think it might have to do with the fact that they had very little grass to eat during the rainy season. There was very little grass around, and so I don't think that they put on the condition that they normally do to sort of tie them over the winter period. So I think come September that's going to be very interesting. Also, this kind of scene here where there's not a great deal to see is going to become larger. all of the animals just about are going to concentrate around the water. And I think you're going to find those two pans on Cheetah Plains, the Djuma Dam pan, and, well, Buffelshoek until it dries up. I think it's going to dry up within the next 3 weeks or so. And that's then going to become, nothing's going to go there, because there's very little grazing around it. There are some impala, Jean-Andre. Let's stop and look at them, because, well, we haven't seen much else, really. That's very insulting to the impala, of course. I do apologize, everyone. Impala are worth stopping for, even if you have lots of other things to see. I've parked Jean-Andre beautifully behind a tree here. Well done. I don't know that it could have been done too much better, though, because she's got her face in there. And beautiful face looking at us. Very nice, Jean-Andre. Impala super zoom. Reflection on the eye. Oh no, of course can't breathe because he's super zoomed. Look at those eyes.
You're breathing.
I'm sorry. Those eyes are just so wonderful. Doughy, I suppose, doe-eyed. As you can see, her ear has been mangled somewhat, probably by ticks. Oh, very interesting. Now, what she's eating there is that strychnos, that strychnine-laden plant called Strychnos madagascarensis. And the buffalo and the impala are now starting to use that quite extensively as forage. I don't know that I've seen that before, you know. Before this season, I mean. And quite a nice opportunity there, Jean, if you don't mind, just getting in on the backside there of one of those impalas. We were asked why they wag their tails, and you can see them wagging then. You can see those very two obvious stripes. And they apparently are hotter than the rest of the body. Well, this is one of the theories, and I use the term theory loosely. The theory being that they attract the ticks to those areas, and then that tail flicks the ticks off them. It doesn't explain, of course, why there's a very obvious black stripe down the front of the tail, but perhaps there's something to do with that. I think it's camouflage myself. I think it breaks up the outline as they walk or run through the bush. If you ever have anybody say to you that that's the McDonald's of the bush, look, there's an M sign on the back of the impala, you must immediately ask for another guide. Alright, let's go into the drainage line, and we'll pop down that way and see if there isn't something in there. Maybe the elephants are feeding along the slightly moisture-laden shores of the great flowing, raging torrent that is the Mlwati drainage line. I quite like the, I told some of you this the other day, but I asked Herbert, I said, what does Mlwati mean? He said, Mlwati is not a word. So I said, are you sure it's not a word, because that's what this drainage line's called? He says, no, it's not a word at all. So I said, what about Mlwati? He said, well, that's closer to the Zulu word for rapid, basically. It says Mlwamati, which means the fighting water. And so I think what you'll find is much the same as many of these areas out here. You'll find that this particular area, the name was probably lost somewhere in translation, and from being Mlwamati, meaning the fighting waters, although that's a ridiculous name for this dry riverbed, and it became Mlwati, because of course in English that sound, that kind of squashing of consonants together doesn't occur, so it becomes easy to separate them with a vowel. Alright, let's go up Vulture's Nest Road. We're going to come back down, and then we'll go down the drainage and see if we can't pick anything up there. But I think Mum is out still hunting now. And it will be interesting to know, I mean, I know I've said that I don't know if she'll come back or not before she's killed. I don't think she will, but it'll be interesting to see if that is true or not. Let's head back across to Brent, get an update from him.
So really, really exciting news. I heard there's some wild dog tracks heading north. Now, this is... Oh, there's the big kudu again. He's decided to step out in front of the Arathusa vehicle. It's the same one. So we've turned around. We're actually heading back up where we were, just in case those wild dogs cross this area into Djuma. So we're going to head back up to the gates, and we're going to go very slowly and look for tracks. And the last tracks were not too... Oop. No, just listening there. See what was happening on the radio. But nothing yet. So I'm going to keep checking very carefully for these tracks. So see if those wild dog tracks actually cross into Djuma. They might have even snuck behind us. And it has been a long time since I've seen wild dogs, and they are my favorite animal. Now there is that water not too far from here, so they might have made their way to there. Maybe check Sydney's dam again. So look very carefully. We just want to see that loping gait of the African wild dog come pounding through the bush. And we've always got to check behind us as well. The dogs are so fast. Hi, Tasha. Tasha's wondering, do all the animals out here give birth at the same time or same season? No, Tasha. So Sorry, I'm saying... So I'm just listening. Sounds like the wild dogs are heading more east. Now that's towards where we are now. So don't forget to check behind you, Dave. But Tasha, just to let you know, that so the animals that are really, really consistent and have a specific breeding season are impala, wildebeest, and warthog, strangely enough. Most of the other animals will give birth at any time of the year. They do have peaks at certain times, but it's not uncommon to find any baby zebra or baby lion, could be summer, could be winter, whereas the impala, the wildebeest, and the warthog are always at the beginning of the rainy season, so the beginning of summer. Causing a bit of a traffic jam here. I'm just going to let this car go past while I keep checking for tracks. Yeah, just going to let the car go past. No problem for... Thank you, brother, for letting me go past. Obviously, we're not... And there's a rush. You might have to be somewhere important. And the only important place we've got to be is out in game drive looking for wild dogs. I'm going to sit like this so I can look and look down the road to make sure they don't appear behind us. Now, there were no tracks. We've already driven here, and we did check quite carefully earlier. But they could have easily scampered behind us. Nope, that's a hyena. So if they have crossed and they've come for a drink at the pan here, this is where they would have crossed. And they have crossed here. Okay, so the dog tracks have crossed here. And means we're going to go a bit faster to try and get around towards Sydney's. I'm going to check where James is. I'm just going to let the guys know from the west that we've got the dog tracks crossing into Vuyatela. Konzo for Madach cross northeast just past One Eye Pan into Vuyatela. We're going to keep rushing. I'm just going to see who's around. Maybe someone's close by. Stations in Gonzo for Madach, cross northeast into Vuyatela, just to the west of One Eye Pan. I'm going to be following up. I'm going to check around Sydney's. James, Vuyatela access towards Sandy Patch. The tracks are sort of heading almost due east, but I'm going to check towards Sydney's in case they cut that way. Okay, so James is actually coming from quarantine, so he's going to check here, and we're going to check wider around. Okay, so this is a bit of a bad signal area for us, so let's go to James while we check around Sydney's.
All right, everybody, very exciting news that is. Leo Smith heading towards Sydney's Dam. Wendy not so good in that area. We're going to head towards Quarantine. We're not too far from there. And let's see if we don't get lucky. It'd be very nice to see some wild dogs. I think leopard cubs, lion cubs and wild dogs in one sighting is, or not one sighting, no, we don't want that. In one game drive is ideal. Get out of the way, bird. We'll come back to you later. It was Natal Franklin eating termites out of dung. Hello, Motaz. What is an interesting name? Motaz, you want to know if we are going to be doing this all year, and therefore will you be able to see all seasons and possible animal migrations? In the case of the former two questions, yes and yes. We will certainly be doing this all year. We have been doing it all year. In fact, we're into our, might be third contiguous year. We have been on and off for the last 9 years or so. There are some beefaloes. I'm just going to let's just stop here and have a listen. There's one buffalo bull over there. I know that's not a very nice shot for you, Jean-Louis. You'll shout at me. Well, that's not too bad. It's quite nicely backlit. Look at the dust. It's delicious. But Motaz, in terms of migrating, no. We won't see that for two reasons. One, animals don't migrate in this area because, as that buffalo is indicating to you, he's walking towards a waterhole, which is artificially pumped, which means that the animals don't have to migrate in this area. And just over the wall here, there is a wildebeest. And they, of course, would be candidates for migration. And you see the wildebeest there, Jean-Louis? It's that big black thing over there. Parked him nicely on a slope, everybody, so he's really challenged. And so Motaz, they might migrate. They did used to migrate in this area, but they don't anymore, again, because of pumped water. Now, the other reason is, of course, we're not mobile. We're mobile within our traversing area, but our signal at the moment is broadcast from fixed towers, and so we can't go more than a certain distance from those towers before the signal breaks up. And so were those wildebeest to be migrating up towards the northern parts of the Kruger National Park, we wouldn't be able to follow them at this stage. There are plans afoot to mobilize us, but not at this stage, no. But Motaz, yes, you will see the seasons change completely, and they do change profoundly as the months go on, and you'll see that going forward. Especially if we've had very dry times now, as I'm sure you've heard Brent and I banging on about. And if we have a wet year this year, the change will be profound. This grey, golden kind of landscape that's now turning well, I mean, it's just very, very dry. It will turn 1,000 shades of verdant green at the end of a wet season. And that will be November, probably, that we'll have the first proper full rains. Might be as early as September. Might be not at all. That would be horrible. So, when we're looking for wild dogs, what we do is we head towards clearings. Because clearings is where wild dogs like to hunt. They, like the cheetah, are coursing hunters. They like to run after things. They don't like to stalk them in the same way that lions and leopards do. We've got no idea when those wild dogs crossed. And so we just, I mean, it's all very well driving quickly, but unless we know kind of where they are, well, there's not much point in driving too fast. And Vic, you're worried about those cubs and the wild dogs. Would they be in danger from the dogs? Not those two leopard cubs, no, because they'll just climb up a tree and snarl and hiss and spit at the dogs, and the dogs will then leave them alone. Lion cubs, absolutely. If those wild dogs happen to go walking up the drainage line, which is unlikely for a wild dog to do, they'd like to stay out in the open areas like this. If the wild dogs were to go through that drainage and find those lion cubs there, and they were unattended by their mother, they would almost certainly kill them. And that's because of predation, we sort of think for competition purposes, but also because, of course, lions kill wild dogs, and I guess it would be described as genetic revenge, if you like. They don't know that that's what happens. They don't know that those lions are going to turn into enormous dog killers. But there's something about the knowledge of that makes them kill lion cubs, absolutely. We're about to be, we're going to just pull in front of that vehicle there that was there. A bit of a traffic jam here. Now, the dogs do normally one of two things when they come east across here. One, they go up towards Sydney's Dam where Brent is going. Two, they come down this road. And that is a water buck that just crossed there. So we're just going to keep an eye out on the ground for tracks. And we'll just see if they don't pop out this area here. It'll be so exciting to see them. We'll just stop and have a quick look at this waterbuck bull because he's rather a magnificent fellow. There he is. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Ooh, something's running. Hang on, something's running at the back there. Something is running very fast, just behind the wild dog, not the wild dog, behind the waterbuck. Running down here. Hold on, Gendre. Don't fall off. Well, if you do, don't make a noise. And there was thought that it was an impala by looking at 3-plan. I think you're probably right, Kirsten, thank you for that. But the question is, what was chasing it? Why was it running at that speed? Let's just stop and have a bit of a listen. I think Brent has checked Sydney's Dam. In fact, Taxon's been up there. And Brent is now coming down this way. Brent, shall I check Zoe's? I'm just going to check. He thinks I shouldn't check this road here. He says, yes, I should. Okay, copy, thanks. Dave, who's running camera with Brent, thinks he may have seen something. It could have been anything, really. Maybe it was a wild dog. It could also have been an impala, a steenbok, a duiker, a bushbuck, a leopard, a lion, a stump. Most likely a stump. Of course, the trick with this stuff, well, there's no trick to it, but it's always a catch-22. You need to drive quickly because they move so fast, but then you do miss things as they go along. I just want to show you a lovely view here. Beautiful view. Gendre, is that not very pretty? Or shall I go into a more open area for you? There you are. Look at that. Come on now. Don't be curmudgeonly. Has anyone ever accused you of being curmudgeonly before?
No idea.
A curmudgeon is basically someone like me, Gendre, who's miserable all the time. Yes. Endless shades of gold and green. Beautiful, Gendre. Kirsten thought your levels were off there. Do you agree with her?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to disagree with her. That's very uncurmudgeonly of you to admit. Well done. And I'm going to drive a little bit faster. There's a nice clearing up ahead here. And we do know that last time they came through this area, that's where they went. And they do sometimes follow habitual pathways, not always. And then we may eventually go back and see if those cubbies are still there. You can see a landscape denuded of any antelope, which indicates maybe they've come running through here. What do you think, Gendre? You came running through here today, I didn't. Alright, let's go and find out where Brent's going and where he thinks the tracks are going. We'll probably meet up with him just the other side here.
So that last track was sort of heading east to this area, so we want to make sure they haven't crossed this road here. This is Impala Road. Now, the area that those tracks have gone into is, oh, hello, little carnivores. Not the ones we're looking for. I'm just going to go and switch off for a second so I can listen. If the wild dogs get split up while they're hunting, they use a contact call called a woo call to communicate with each other. And those, of course, are not wild dogs, but little dwarf mongoose scuttling about. So what we're listening for is a woo, 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 woo. Now that's the call they use to communicate if they've been split up. I don't hear anything yet. I just want to double check the tracks here and make sure nothing's going across. If we have a look in the distance, there's a big tree almost directly below the sun. No, distance. There we go. So it was just above there that the tracks were heading almost directly to where we're sitting now. But if they've spotted something, they could have changed their direction. So we also, if they've caught something, we're listening for a high-pitched sort of squeaks and squeals of excitement. We've got to concentrate really, really carefully. Hi, Mohammed in Doha. Now, yeah, sorry, I just listening to the radio there for a second. Mohammed is wondering, with wild dogs being endangered, how big is this particular pack? I think this is the Sands pack, and the last time I saw them, I think there were 10 adults, and as far as I know, they've had 8 babies, I think. The babies will still be around the den at the moment, so it could be as many as 18, although there's a very high mortality rate for wild dog pups. So if we don't get any tracks coming out here, they could have gone straight south through this block, so we're going to head down onto the western edge of our traverse area again. Now the track I did see, it was a running track, so they could have been chasing something, and that means the dogs could be quite spread out and split up. You could actually smell them. They sort of smell like a wet dog, a bit more pungent than that actually. You can actually smell where they've been. I've had a whiff of it where we found those tracks. So they've definitely come in this afternoon, but whether they just jump back across, we don't know yet. It is possible. So while we keep checking very carefully, James has got a magnificent vista to show you.
There is a magnificent vista, everybody. And as Brent said, but there are two quite interesting things in this vista as that front moves slowly overhead. One is the Cheetah Plains Tower, Genre. Feels like you're in a fighter plane, doesn't it, Genre? Nothing like that. There is the Cheetah Plains Tower, and that is on Cheetah Plains. And that's where the signal comes from. It bounces back to the Gowrie repeater, which is just behind where we're sitting, and then off to the final control, where it is received by Geraldine and Kirsten at the moment. And that is the tower at Nkoro, everyone. So we really are very high up, and that's why this Gowrie repeater, where it is so important. You can see it can see all over the place. And the signal that we receive, for those of you who are interested, and I imagine there are not very many, is line of sight. So basically, if there's a mountain or a tree or a river in the way, the signal doesn't get through. That's why they have to be so high up. And the reason I'm waffling on about this is A, because I'm really enjoying the view here. I love the light when it's diffused by the clouds like this. But the second reason is that I'm trying to hear any sign of wild dogs. Shouting animals, alarming birds, pattering of feet, or the whooping as they contact call. I cannot hear nothing, however. James Richard, you say you were holding thumbs for some painted wolves running juxtaposed their colours with the awesome foliage colours. James Richard, that would be a marvellous thing indeed. So, well, let's try and make that a reality, shall we? I'm going to carry on down here. Brent is... before I do that, let me just get hold of Brent. Leo Smith, come in. Brent, what's your route? Blah, 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 blah.
I've done a power road to power line with the west, in case they're still in that block. But I can't find any tracks coming across. The only tracks just west of One Eye Band, and I can't find any going across for the tail access.
Okay, copy. Where do you want me to check? It's called passing the buck, everyone.
What's your current position?
And Balanati's tree, the one you fell out of?
Maybe check and find the planes and cameras tracks.
Okay, I'll do that. He won't find that very funny. He'll find that about as funny as he found Elizabeth.
Yeah, I'm on triple heading towards Dollar Platform.
And Taxon is also in this area. Let's just go and check the clearing up ahead here. We might be lucky. For those of you, I know you wouldn't have seen it. Well, many of you wouldn't have seen it. We did play it back, but Brent fell out of this tree while he was doing an introduction during our practices for our TV show that we did for the Father's Day weekend. He fell out of this very massive tree. How he didn't hurt himself, I don't know. It was a testament to the fact that he's obviously a very natural athlete. Because most of us would have done ourselves some severe damage. It was very funny to watch. Luckily, he also found it funny. Look. A beautiful shot of a fork-tailed drongo sitting on a stick. Look at the little tooth there in front of his beak. Isn't that lovely? And he's attempting to do different calls of different birds. Now, they're not very good mimics, but they try very hard indeed. And he's doing, tell you what he's doing now. He's doing the call of a white-crested helmet shrike, and just above him, there are some white-crested helmet shrikes. It's interesting. There they are. I know they're all very silhouetted, everyone, but I don't want to move. I think we'll frighten them away. Now they're calling. The drongo is still sitting there. They're a little bit like Gendre in the shower. We hear him singing very loudly, not imitating the original artist particularly well, but doing really good, really trying hard. I'm just reminded of that because after Gendre's run today, he sang loudly and for a lengthy period in the shower. Didn't you, Gendre? Yeah. Before flooding the bathroom. Right. Enough of Gendre's bathroom habits. Let us continue. Of course, it's very good. If you ever want to learn patience and tolerance for other people, living in the Wild Earth camp is a good place to start, because we do live right on top of each other. We all, me included, probably me more than anyone else, we have our foibles and our strange habits that others find, well, mildly irritating to deeply offensive, depending on who you are. And it's a good way to learn to tolerate the foibles of other human beings, such as the flooding of the bathroom. Right, now, because we can't find the wild dogs or anything else right now, and because Leo Smith is on drive and you can ask him questions about it, have a look at this. Wonderful. So you can ask him about that, and I think you'll agree. It was a tremendous height that he fell from, and it's astounding he didn't hurt himself, especially given that he has a slightly dodgy hip. Anyway, we're very pleased that he got up and he found it twice as funny as anyone else did. It was very good sport about it, I must say. I'm just sad it didn't happen actually on TV, because it would have really endeared him even further to our audience. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the clearings up ahead here, and then we'll turn around and go back. Tasha, you asked the very valid question, how long do we stay out here before going back home or getting a break? Tasha, it feels like about roughly 12 years since I last went home. In actual fact, it's only 6 weeks. No, it's 6 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Now, there is some dust that is either made by Leo Smith driving at a great speed, or some animal. Can you see the dust there, Gendre? Let's just listen. I think it's it's taxon. There he comes, moving through the dust. So, some of us, Tasha, are going on leave on Friday. Kirsten and Brian and I are the ones going off on leave. And it was always nice to see family, but I've got to tell you, I mean, I used to go back to the city, of course. Now I try and avoid it as much as I can, because Johannesburg in winter, not very nice. We're just going to wait for Tax to come up here. and he can give us an update. He's not moving at a great speed. Oh, there's our friend Brent Leo Smith. I might have to drive away quite quickly because I don't know that he realizes I've just thrown him under the bus by ordering his clip of him falling out of the tree. He's turned the other way. What a relief. Ahe, minjani kwalan? Awukumanga mahlolwa. Kui. Makui. Kui. I'll tell you what he said. He's telling a great big fib. He said that the wild dogs were found and that they killed a leopard. He's talking absolute rubbish. They've killed nothing and they have not been found. Okay. Right. Okay. Hello, everybody. Sorry about him. Good luck with your safari. That's mostly we swear at them, but they are supposed to be a ball of GoPros that take a 360 degrees sort of a spherical view. So if they work correctly, and you watch the clip, you can watch it on your phone, but you can turn it around and look above you and look. Yeah, it's really quite amazing. It works 1% of the time. Yeah. All right. Good luck. Enjoy. All righty. Kirsten, sorry, I missed that. Did you say we want to go to Tree Faller? Okay, let's go across to Brenda Smith and get an update from him.
Now, we've been searching for wild dogs, and I've just found incredibly fresh male leopard footprints. Something seems to be a bit awry with the radios here. Okay. Now that is interesting. These are incredibly fresh, and I know someone's driven this road already this afternoon. Now, we're still looking for the dogs. I just want to have a quick squiz where these leopard tracks go. Listening. I can't see where those leopard tracks went off. They are very nice tracks. Oh, what's that, Dave? It's not to destroy the poor termite mound. Okay, now where did you go, Mr. Leopard? Now I'm going to get some light on, I think there. Not. Okay, have a look there. You see them, Dave? Okay, just go up the road a bit, or just come a bit closer. Let's go for this one. Here we go. Look at the male leopard tracks. Now, I just want to see, because they suddenly disappear. Let's have a quick look. There. 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 Now where? I'd love to give us a bit of a puzzle. Oh, he's walked on the hard stuff. You can't even see his track, so he's still there. A very fresh track. Just want to make sure I don't miss in case he changes direction a little bit. There it is. Did you cross into the center? Did you cross over the road is the next question. Or have you kept on the hard ground? Just going to check up to here quickly. Isn't this light absolutely gorgeous though? It would be nice to have a leopard or wild dogs even better in it. I'm trying to listen to see if there are any bird alarm calls. Very interesting. I'm just going to check a little bit further on. Just make sure sometimes your eyes lose them and you just have to walk back and have a second look. I think he's ducked into there. Let's go have a look further down the road. There were definitely no tracks because we just turned around at those power lines, went down to Triple M again. Okay, let's go very slowly. Keep our eyes open. Now, just to confuse us, there's lioness tracks. Those are old, going the other way. So I'm going to try to figure out exactly what's going on here. While I do that, let's go see what James is up to in this absolutely glorious light.
I'm looking for wild dog tracks, but I'm not finding them. This is the road around where Brent saw them, so whether they've gone across and then back again, I don't know. But it would be very nice to see them. We're going to go up towards the gate, towards Sydney's Dam, see if they haven't popped out there again, and then we'll come filtering slowly back down towards the south. But at the moment, I got nothing. Hello, Laura in Indiana. You ask a wonderful question. You say, do I think that animals have an understanding of death beyond just mere survival? Laura, I was interested in dogs. Laura, I'll come back to you. And Brent, these animals, the three of them on Triple M north of One Eye Pan, seem to be about to head in an easterly direction. They're going north at the moment towards the gate. Tax and Brent, best approach is to come probably via tele access to that link, or in fact no, stand by on Impala Road to the south of Sandy Patch. There we are. Look at this. Look at this. This is fantastic. They're just smelling. They're smelling some hyena dung. I've got the dogs here. Smelling some hyena dung. That's what they're looking at. So close. Tax on Triple M brake. They're going, at the moment they're on the road. Look like they're going to go east, but they're still on the road. About 300 meters north of the power lines. Now they're marking. Affirm. They're north of the power lines, Tax, about 400 meters south of the gate, just north of One Eye Pan Road. Now they're marking territory as well, and they're smelling the hyena dung there. That's fascinating. That's not dog dung, that's hyena dung. And they are semi-territorial. They mark, but they have massive, massive territories. Right, here we go, everybody. Isn't this so special? Oh, I can't believe how lucky we are here. This is too wonderful for words. Go. We're just going to follow them slowly up the road. I'm going to keep my distance. We've got nice long lens on this camera. Ooh, can you smell that, John-Ray? It's disgusting. It is really foul. That is ripe. One of them clearly has not entirely, well, voided his bowels. I suspect there's still some left. Stations now at junction One Eye Pan and Triple M. One dog mobile back towards the west. Sorry, I just do have to keep everybody updated on the Game Drive channel because they will want to come here. This unfortunately looks like they're going to go west. Tax, they're still on the road, but it does look like they're going to cross west. Now they're coming back east. I don't know what they're going to do. Oh, that's good for us now. Yeah, they're going back east now. Right, now they're mobile east on a big game path towards Impala Road. I think best approach Impala Road, Tax. Look at the one going up the road there. We're just north of One Eye Pan. Now they're turning back this way. Yeah, guys, they're now going north again, back onto Double M. Sorry, I don't know which way they're going. They're going straight north now. Now imagine you were a guest driving into this area and you've brought your, just driving in, and suddenly you're faced with 3 wild dogs. What an incredible start to your holiday. That's what that is. That's probably actually a landowner. Oh, this is wonderful. Let me try and get into a position where we can view them. They are starting to head more to the east, which is good for us. Okay, the stations are now heading east again. There we are. Oh, that's beautiful. Come north, Brenty, come north. They look like they're going to head towards Sandy Patch. I can't tell at the moment. They're going up and down there. Sorry, everybody. I just do have to keep everyone informed as to what's going on. Now they're coming back this way. What that... I don't know what that bird was shouting at. And of course this is a fairly major access road that they're running along, so there are vehicles coming all over the place. This is just stunning. So, Cindy in Tennessee, you ask a very good question. Would they want to find the hyena, or would they want to stay away from it? Ideally, stay away from it, Cindy, but because there are only 3 of them, they are not that, you know, it's not a big group of them. 3 to 1 hyena is not a bad sort of ratio for them, but for the hyenas, you know, that's just a territory, that's a clan marking, and so it won't be one hyena, there'll be many of them, and they want to avoid those. Just going to try and get hold of Brent again to tell him where we are. Brent, now heading east towards Sandy Patch, seems like. Copy. Tax, they're now heading due east. Come north. Sorry guys, they're much further north than I thought they were. They're about to cross Vertella Access going towards Sydney's Dam. They're not going quickly guys, so come tax, you'll get them definitely. I didn't realize how far north we were there, everyone. Yeah, affirmative. Take Sandy Patch to Sydney's Dam. I've crossed on that big game path going towards Sydney's. We're going to try and follow them through here. It's going to get quite thick, everyone. Hold on, Gendry. Please excuse my lack of eye contact with you, everyone. We are just going to try and follow them, but it will get quite thick. Brenty, are you able to go round to Sydney's Dam? I don't think I can follow them through here. Yeah, I can't get through this block after them, everyone. I don't think we can get through here, everyone. I think we're going to go to the dam. Let's go straight up there. Yeah, our stations are going straight down that game path towards Sydney's Dam. This is marvellous stuff. Sorry, everyone, we can't follow them there. We're going to have to go around. Not too far. I think they'll pop out at the waterhole just up ahead here. There could well be some impala there. Beautiful sunset going on there. Now, Painted Wolf, you said you've never heard of these dogs before you started watching this, and they get no press. No, they don't. And I think they're the most wonderful animals. Brent and I will both agree that they're our favourite carnivore out here, our favourite animal, and it's just great to be watching them now. I'm not sure, Brenty, I've had to go around. Are they going to pop out, I think, of the rubbish tip? So we're just going around here. Dogs coming this way. Have you got them? Okay, we got them there. Right, they're about to hit the dam now, guys. We've got them visual again. I am sorry about all of the talk on the radio, everybody, but it just is what we have to do. There we go. Okay, we have them visual there. They're on the western side of the drainage line coming from Sydney's Dam. They haven't crossed north yet. Phew! Wonderful stuff. Tax, yeah, you'll get them now. Okay, wonderful stuff. And there's Brent. He deserves to see them. Let's go across to Brent now, everybody. I'll operate the radio.
Okay, look at this, my favorite animal. Thanks to James and Tax, we've all been checking this area extensively for them. I only saw 3 dogs. There they go. And look at this, here we go. They're coming right up to us. Isn't this amazing? I'm going to let James take over because he's got the camera with the big zoom, so he's going to be able to see much further than me. Pass to James, who's got the better camera for this job.
Very nice, bye-bye. Okay, you're back with us, everyone. We're just going to get a view here of the dam because we've got a much longer lens on this car and more signal, which we're lucky about. So we'll just park here. We can't obviously go any further than we have right now, and there they are. Ah, wonderful, eh? There they are, at the water, hoping to find some impala coming down to drink, or perhaps a steenbok or a duiker or something else like that. And Larry, you say they're smelling for prey animals. Larry, they could be. I'm not really sure though, because you know, they looked like they were smelling for territory. And so I think there was a bit of territorial sniffing there, and they're trying to smell, obviously, where the hyenas were. But Mike, I think they would. They're not. They don't smell for prey. They're very much visual predators. And Roger, you want to know if they hunt at night. Roger, they don't normally, but they will hunt at night during a full moon. Then absolutely they will hunt. But on a dark night, no, they don't. Their eyes aren't so fly at this time of. Their eyes aren't so fly at this time of at least during the night time. So I'm just going to get on the radio here. Mike's doing at least Brent's doing a very good job. Wonderful stuff. Look at the guinea fowl who we're just ignoring. They're beautiful birds. All right, everybody, I think we're going to probably move out now, given that we can't really see them in there anymore. And I know that there are a few people trying to come and have a look at them, and they are moving off. Stations, we're going to pull out of the sighting. Taxon in charge, yours, make your way straight in. Sorry, Shelley in Chicago, I did miss your question. We've only got, we've got a long range views here, so we can sit here. And you want to know if we think they're looking for other pack members. They could be, but I don't think so. There is a pack of 3 that's been around here for a while. We know that our Investec pack is also only 3 at the moment. So, they really could easily be just the complete pack here. Very, very lucky to have seen them like this, everyone. It really is too special. Hey? I'm breathing hard, sorry. It's been very exciting. And Tasha, you want to know if they bark like a regular dog. No, they don't bark like a regular dog, but they do make a bark. So if you give them a fright, they go, huh, and it sounds a little bit like a dog. It sounds a bit like a kudu as well. And that's probably going to be our last view of them, everyone. And they're going off towards the west, at least to the east. So a big thank you to Brent for finding the tracks. Without that, we would never have been on them, and we were just blindly lucky coming up the road there. And I can see exactly why Brent didn't find them where the tracks were going, because you could see how they were going to and fro across that road. So they just never came. They just didn't follow the path that they were going on. Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Brent. And, wow, let's move out of here and go and see what else we can see. I think we'll wind our way down towards the south. I seem to have got us stuck on the road. There we go. There we go, we got off the road there. Iretas, you quite rightly point out that it was that these dogs used to be seen as pests, as some kind of vermin, and they used to be shot and persecuted for that. Iretas, thankfully that has stopped many years ago. At least 30 years ago people stopped doing that. And you say, is there new research that's coming out about them that shows their wonderful characters and the value they have to an environment? Absolutely there is, but there has been for a long time. So it's not for a very long time that people have been persecuting them. But now here is one of my favorite bugbears, of course, and that's the bugbear of the Big Five. People are still sold this ridiculous yarn about coming to see the Big Five, and it's a hugely controversial thing because the Big Five are the animals that were the most dangerous to hunt. They're not necessarily the most beautiful to see at all. So that's one of the reasons you don't hear about wild dogs. They're truly one of Africa's most spectacular animals. I think, well, for me, the most spectacular. But you don't hear about them in the press. You don't hear about them when you ask a tour operator, you know, what could you see in Africa? Nobody tells you, well, I could see a wild dog. And that's why, you know, we're under this impression still that they're you know, that they're not that important to an African environment. They're hugely important, and they're, I think, the most entertaining animal you could possibly find out here. Thank you, Iretas, for helping me clear that up. We'll head down sort of towards the south now, and we may be lucky and bump into Karula on the way back to the Cubs, but we're certainly not going to go to the Cubs, because the sun has now set, and so the Cubs are off limits without Mum. Phew. Marvellous sighting, and I must just quickly apologise again for the amount that I had to be on the radio, but it is, you know, with wild dogs, they're running all over the place, and that's why normally what we do is we put two vehicles in the sighting so that one can control the lineup, while I can stare you in the eye while you stare the dogs in the eye. And Tasha, you want to know if they'd run from us if we got out. Yes, they would almost certainly run from us, but if they happened upon you, like we had that experience, when was it? Probably about 8 months ago, of the dogs running down that main access road that we were on, and Andrew and I were on foot. We were walking with Steph, and we just sat down on the road, and the dogs came past. The adults looked at us, shied slightly, and carried on going. The pups stopped and looked, and they got to within 2 meters of us, and then they carried on going. So they're quite curious. They're afraid of enough of us for that to be safe, but they're sufficiently confident in themselves and their ability to get away from something that they're not that they, you know, they will approach to a certain quite close really. But if you got out of the car and chased them, then they would run. And many times I've been walking in the bush and trying to find them again in the afternoon after a morning game drive where we've seen them, and I've got out of the vehicle, looked around a bit, and you find them, or often they find you, they make that call, they go, oh, like that, when they see you, and they get up and they move away, and then they look to see what you want to do. So I think those ones would definitely have run away if I'd got out of the car. Thank you for that, Tasha. All right, let's go across to Brent and be sure to thank him soundly for finding the tracks earlier on.
Oh, wasn't that amazing? I know it was just, well, for us it was the briefest view, but definitely worthwhile. My favorite animal. I haven't seen them in so long on Juma. Strangely enough, the day before I came back, I actually had a really nice sighting of them on foot at home. Right behind the house, I sat down on the road and they ran past me, similar to what you guys experienced with James a while ago. But the the cubs, I'm so used to saying cubs, we've got so many cubs around. The pups at the den are probably getting quite big, and that's making these dogs travel bigger distances now in search of food. So it's possible they might move the den. So they might move the den, and that's also because they've been in that one den for quite a while, and they could get a flea infestation. And sorry, I'm just listening. It says maybe those wild dogs are heading straight towards the Nkahuma lions. Oh, stay away from the lions. Lions pose the biggest threat to wild dogs, and most adult and baby dogs are killed by lions. Now, we've made our way back into that area. There's male leopard tracks headed north in here, so I'm going very, very slow, making sure I don't miss any tracks. Hi, Chitra. Chitra's in India, and Chitra is wondering what is more aggressive, hyena or wild dogs. Well, it depends with what. To human beings, there's never ever been a recorded case of a human attack on by wild dogs. Hyenas, of course, there have been. And with other predators, it's difficult to say. Each is aggressive towards the other predator because it poses such a threat to them. I've actually seen a pack of wild dogs kill a female leopard, rip her to absolute pieces in seconds. And they get very aggressive with hyenas, but it's very unusual that they actually do any damage to a hyena. A hyena is quite thick. With lions, unless the lions are around their den, they generally try to avoid lions at all costs. And whereas hyenas will try to rob from lions, so it all depends on the species they're interacting with. But I'd say as a general demeanor, wild dogs are the less aggressive, specifically when it comes to human beings. I've had some incredible sightings on foot with wild dogs. I've actually lain in the road while a pack of wild dogs walked up to me, and they've breathed on my camera lens, so it was completely missed it. I couldn't take a picture. Isn't that incredible? So I'm hoping we might bump into this male leopard. I wonder who it could be. It could be Tingana, or it could be Mvula. Now, they've both been around, and it's definitely an adult male track. So, very exciting. So, we're going to check around Zoe's next, see if it hasn't popped out of the block. And the thing is, we've driven on that road already today, and those tracks were on top of our tracks. Let's just check a little bit further to the southwest again. So those tracks were sort of heading almost straight towards us. And while we keep looking for the cats, James has got another exquisite vista to show you.
Leo Smith is coming up with some spectacular adjectives today. Well done, Brenty. Yes, it is an exquisite vista. And that is the western horizon. That's the Drakensberg Mountains. And they're made to look even more spectacular by the fact that there is clearly a fire in the forests. And we'll just go across that way first to show you, and then you will see the fire in the forest, probably above Sabi, I think. If Genre keeps going that away. There you are. You can see that great big cloud of smoke billowing out of the paper forests there in Sabi. And that won't be so nice if you happen to be a farmer. If you're a farmer of trees, that's a nasty thing to see. But that, for us, is absolutely stunning. Isn't that beautiful? And we don't often get this perspective. We don't often get this high up. But this is just too wonderful. And that winter landscape in front of them. Endless different kinds of bronzes and orange and peaches and browns. Yes, beautiful. Now they have lost those dogs again, unfortunately, and I think they might be coming back this way. Anyway, we'll lurk about this area. Oh no, there they are. They're back again on Biffle's hook. I'm putting on my scarf, Chandra. You see that? Because it's getting very cold. Yes, I'm a very fashionable human being. That's why I have the haircut I do. It's all the rage around the world. Very nice, thank you. Especially the sideburns. Okay, that's enough. Now, Laura, while we drive on, and you were asking a wonderful question about death and whether animals understand it and whether they feel probably a fear of it, and are they aware of it. If Jean-Andre ever films my ear like that again, he's going to find out all about it. But Laura, my answer to that question is that I don't know, obviously. And like I keep saying, the more we learn about animals, the more we realize that they are not completely emotionless or automatons like Pavlov would have had us believe. But indeed, they do seem to feel some kind of emotion. So, do they fear death? Instinctually, obviously, they feel death. Are they consciously aware of it? I think the closer you get to man, i.e., if you go to chimpanzees and gorillas, I think you'll probably find that they may well be aware of it. And then you go a little bit further away from us, you get to baboons and monkeys, and possibly not. Is an impala aware of what death is? Consciously, I don't think so, no. Is it an elephant? Quite possibly. Am I convinced of what I'm saying to you? Absolutely I'm not. I don't know for sure. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if animals like elephants and gorillas and chimpanzees and maybe dolphins and animals like that are perhaps slightly more aware of it than we think they are. So I don't know. I think it's a lovely thing to contemplate, though, I really do. So thank you for that. There's another stunning view of the clouds there. Jean-Andre, don't you think that's very pretty? Oh, tell me if you want me to stop, or if your stabilizer will handle our movement. Just the aerial is a pain, yes, I know. Isn't that stunning? Oh, it's just beautiful. Alright, we're going to go back down sort of towards quarantine area, see what pops out there. Maybe a male leopard or two. Who knows? We don't really know where the Nkuhuma lionesses are. I think Brent had tracks of one going into Torchwood, but where the others are, don't know. They might pop across too. And in the meantime, let's go and find out what Brent is going to do, and we'll hopefully have some good news for you shortly.
We're going really, really slowly, and I've got my lights on, and that's not to look around, it's just so I can see if there are any tracks on the road. Now, those leopard tracks were heading in this general area, but he might have stopped for a rest in the block before he gets moving. Of course, it's too dark to go tracking now, and there are lots of impala looking far too relaxed around here. So definitely, I think it's worthwhile keeping a very close eye on the Djuma Dam cam after the sunset safari. You might come for a drink. Hello, impalalas. Careful, there's a leopard around. Now, the only thing I've noticed we haven't actually seen today is the elephants. Hi, Kat. Kat asked, with 2 lion prides on Djuma at the moment, would that keep the wild dog dens from denning? Yes and no. I've seen wild dogs den in areas that have got far more lions than here. I think it always just depends on the year, and availability of impala is one of the biggest considering things. Availability of impala, nyala, bushbuck, your small to medium-sized antelope, which is a wild dog's favorite food. So they tend to den in areas of high impala concentration with low lion concentration. So you need a sort of combination, but in some areas they don't have those options, so they actually den right in the middle of high lion concentrations. And I've actually seen them be quite successful in some of those areas. It was a pack I used to spend a lot of time with in my teenage years in Botswana. They got to over 40 in an incredibly high density of lions. So it is possible. When wild dog packs get to that size, they normally splinter out and become smaller. It's very difficult to feed 40 faces. Hi, Kathy. Kathy is in sunny Florida, and Kathy would like to know if anyone has ever domesticated or made a pet of a wild dog. No, Kathy, and it would be a very bad idea. They've got very, very tight social structures, and again, they are a wild animal, so why anyone would want to domesticate one is beyond me. They would make very bad pets. They're very smelly. They have lots of different parasites, and I think a wild dog would be incredibly sad taken away from its pack, and I don't think the human beings would be able to give it enough attention. A very hyperactive animal, incredibly intermingled social structure. Only the alpha pair breed, but the rest of the pack live to look after the young, and it's one of the only animals outside human beings where the babies are actually higher on the social ranking than the adults. So very, very fascinating creature, and by far my most favorite animal in the African bush. It's a very, very strange human need, the need to put things in cages, I find. And if you truly love wild animals, I say let them be wild. Now, no such luck on the track, so I think that leopard might still be snoozing in the block back there. I'm going to do another loop, and who knows, maybe our luck will be in. But while we do that, let's go see how Commander Bond's faring.
We're heading towards Galago Pan at the moment, and hoping to see something coming to have a drink there. Maybe Mvula, our favourite son. Maybe a buffalo bull, maybe an Nkahuma lioness. Let's have a look-see. And then when we get there, we're going to turn off and have a listen to the evening chorus, because the evening chorus is something we don't talk about a great deal. Normally because it's not quite as impressive as the dawn chorus, but in winter it can be. Hello, Gracie. You say sometimes you get sad because you can't see the clouds and the animals and the stars in the same way that we do. Well, Gracie, that's why we send out these pictures to you, and we hope that you have a sense of what we're smelling and hearing and listening to. But, you know, if you step outside every so often and you look up at the sky, you know that you're looking up at the very same sky that we're looking up to here, and in some way that connects you to this area. So when you look up at the stars and the moon and the sun, you know that when we look up at the stars and the moon and the sun, we're looking at the same thing. And in that way, even though you're so very far away, we are connected. And so you mustn't worry, you are looking at the same things that we are, and we hope that you get some sort of comfort from knowing that we're all looking at the same sky and we're all kind of in this together. Here we are at the waterhole. Gendre, look at the great plethora of animals here. Can you actually believe what we're seeing, Gendre? Can you accredit this? The biodiversity of life here is Absolutely incredible. Look at me. Let me just shine my spotlight over it all. Sure. Just amazing. All right, I'm going to be quiet for 20 seconds. Let's just listen to the evening. There's a bat. There's a bat. All right, let's just be quiet and have a listen. There's a bat again. The only thing I can hear two things. One, the fiery-necked nightjar going. Good Lord, deliver us. Good Lord, deliver us. That's what's known as the litany bird. And I can also hear the gentle sound of Shangaan being spoken in the camp. Now, while that isn't a particularly wilderness sound, it always gives me a comfort to hear it at this time of the day, especially when it's women speaking, because there's I don't know, like I was saying yesterday, there's a comfort about the villages out here, which are all Shangaan villages. There's a comfort about walking through them at this time of the night. There's a life to them. And hearing, ooh, there's a drongo going crazy. You can hear that? There he is. Can you see him there, Jean-André? He's just that black thing there in front of my finger. He's very dark, yes, he's black. Chandra zooming out there means he's not interested in showing us the drongo anymore, so we'll move on. But he is singing very loudly, and they're the last ones to stop singing normally during the day birds. So the sound of Shangaan in the evening always sort of takes me back to the time that I've spent in the villages out here, and I always find it quite comforting, especially when it's mixed in with the smell of the camp wood fire, which is not too far from here. I suppose I should turn the lights on, shouldn't I, Jean-André? Around we go. Maria, you'd like to see the stars at the end of the drive. Maria, it's not going to be a great night for stars, but I'll tell you what, I mean, 2 minutes before the end, we'll stick the camera up in the sky and we'll see what we can pick up. John, will you pick anything up?
Well, maybe the evening.
He says, and what he means is, yes, maybe the evening star. But you've got to have a pretty specialized camera to pick up the stars. This one's not too bad. We've certainly done it with Jupiter before. We've had wonderful sightings of Jupiter's moons. I'm just laughing because I saw a stick on the road there, and it looked a little bit like a snake. And I'm trying to remember what it was. What was it? We watched a clip of a lion chasing... Oh yes, I remember now. So you've all seen that clip of the... You've all seen that clip that VM and I had of the lions just down here at Djuma Dam. There were buffalo coming down towards the pan, and we were behind the lions, and the lions gave chase at the buffalo. And it's been on the internet for a while, and one of the comments we read the other day on it was, back it up everybody, there was a cobra in that sighting, that's why the lions were chasing the buffalo. And what this person had done was confused the lion's tail for a snake that had bitten the lion on the bottom and thus inspired it to run towards the buffalo. And so when I saw that when I saw that stick on the road and I thought of snakes, I thought that was rather amusing. All right, let's go across to Brent, who's got some evening elephants to show you.
And there's that gorgeous African sky. And Dave is performing some camera magic with the very little light that's left and the little bit of light that's coming off the vehicle to show you those elephants with the sunset behind them. It sounds like quite a big herd feeding all around us. I'm not going to stay too long with them in the dark. And I said we've been missing Ellies today. Hello, big lady. Look at that. With that sky behind her. She's going to disappear into the darkness. Little one's still there. I'd say we probably can hear trees falling all around us. We're probably surrounded by 25, 30 elephants at the moment. Hello, little trouble. It's such a peaceful thing to just sit. I mean, even just close your eyes and ask Dave to turn up the volume and just listen to the sounds of these Ellies feeding. Just hear a footstep there, a branch break here. One of my favorite sounds to go to bed to, the herd of elephants feeding, rumbling, arguing. And I'm very lucky that I actually get to go to bed to that sound quite often. Okay, we're going to keep moving now. So I'll turn the sound back to normal, otherwise when I start the car you'll be deaf. We'll do a quick run past the treehouse waterhole. Well, the dry treehouse waterhole. Maybe we'll see Queen Karula. Maybe we won't. Some dark and ominous sky coming in from the east. Oh, sorry, old man. There he is. He's running off. Buffalo there. We're not going to keep the light on him. A couple of old buffalo around here. Where have these guys been all drive? Now, the buffalo are moving away from the low-lying areas up to the crests where it's slightly warmer in the evening. And they're going to bed down and chew cud for the night. But hasn't it been an entertaining sunset safari? I'm on a bit of a buzz, even though it was such a brief visual of those wild dogs. I always love seeing them. They are my favorite. And also, my first sight of those tiny little Nkuhumas. I'm very excited to go back there when Mom's there. And it's going to be exciting watching those little three grow up. And of course, we're pretty sure that we know there's another three. Oh. And we're not sure how many cubs the third lioness has yet. So they're baby Nkuhumas all over the place. Now, I've just heard the Nkuhumas are on the move. And they're actually starting to head south, which is good news for us. And hopefully they'll be back on Djuma for the sunrise safari. And of course, James was able to spend a lot of time with Hasana and Shongile Karula's beauties. Now, the Queen is out trying to get dinner, and I was wondering if we might find her on the way back to the cubs in this area. Of course, we're not going to go to the cubs after dark. What was that? Something took off out of the undergrowth there. Just have a quick look, see if we can see what it is. Maybe it's a lovely little nocturnal critter. Whatever it is, it took off like a bad smell. Did a disappearing act, whatever it was. So, thanks for joining Dangerous Dave. Oh no, there was actually a new one for Dave today. Dave, do you remember what it was? Oh, Dave, what was it? Dashing Dangerous Dave, the dish. And myself have thoroughly enjoyed having you on the back of Wendy. I think Dangerous Dave is blushing. But for the last few moments, let's go across to James, who wants to show you the sparkling African night stars.
Now there, everybody, is a planet, and it's Jupiter. To the far right-hand side, now I'm going to talk like this because I don't want to move my mouth because it will move the car. That is a star to the far right-hand side, but you can see the moons of Jupiter. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, plus minus, eh, Jean-André?
Yeah, I can see 4.
Very nice. I'm just going to move slowly so I can look at the monitor. That's stunning. 4 moons of Jupiter. I don't know what the star is to the right-hand side. Now, Chandra is just going to show you a lovely, lovely silhouette as well. And then I'm going to tell you about a little bit that Chandra and I have with each other. And isn't that stunning? That's a marula tree, sans any leaves. What I'm hoping to do is prove that Jean-André has called Mars Saturn. And unfortunately, I think that you'll find that the clouds have probably pulled over. They have. Anyway, when we get back to camp, I will prove Jean-André wrong, and then he will buy me a bottle of apple juice. Not wrong. I've just checked it on the internet. Jean-André, method of argument is not to just deny. You must come with proof.
Who doubted my Jupiter?
I did not doubt your Jupiter. Shut your face. I'm going to find me a Sisyphus tree. I'm going to put you through it immediately. Here we go. This will do. I'll sacrifice myself.
That's not a Sisyphus.
No, it wasn't. What was it? Oh, here we go. Maybe a baobab tree. Would you like to take a bet that it was a baobab tree?
A palm frond.
A palm frond, negative. It was not a palm frond. You complete imbecile.
There's a Sisyphus on the next corner.
There's a Sisyphus on the next corner, yes. Well, prepare to make it your home.
I have before.
There goes a spotted dickhop. Yeah, on cue it went. Jean-André, be quiet now. Just make me look good, that's your job.
Very difficult.
You do it very well. No, you probably don't actually. We're just doing a loop around quarantine. Ah, no. I was hoping to see Mars. We could look at the moon. There you go.
Maybe a bit messy.
Can you look at the moon? No, the clouds are going over. Don't worry about it. All right, you can try. Well, that's actually not too bad a shot.
No,
Very nice. Well done, Jean-Andre. Awesome shot of the moon there. Shot. Great stuff. Brilliant. Ah, well done. Big thank you to Jean-Andre today for his utter incompetence. Thank you very much, Jean-Andre. Thank you to Brent Learsmith, especially for those wild dog tracks being filmed by David. And, of course, Kirsten McLennan, Sawthroat, and who's helping her today? Geraldine the Cheesecake, I think. Oh, Luisi. Thank you, Luisi, for your efforts. And mostly to all of you for joining us, for chatting to us and enjoying the animals with us. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at 6:30. Bye-bye.